Hi, this is Chris from Orange Coast College's Art Department, reviewing how to make an action in Photoshop, and in particular, expanding a selection by one pixel action. This is an action I use a lot whenever I'm working with line art. So if you recall from our earlier video, when I use the magic wand to make a couple selections like this, it doesn't necessarily have a fine edge to it. It's a little bit ragged when you zoom in on it. And what I'd really like is I'd like that selection to be in the black line art area. And so to do that, I use the expand by one pixel command in the menus. But if you do that a lot, it's kind of a pain in the butt to keep digging through the menus and hitting keys to make it happen. So if we could just assign that whole sequence of steps to one key sequence, that would be perfect. So let's take a look at how to do this. Now I've already made that selection, and as I mentioned, it's not awesome. So I want to record several steps for future playback to make it nice and easy. And to do that, I'm going to look at the action palette over here on the right, and down near the bottom, I can hit the Create a New Action button. It'll pop up this dialog. I'm going to call this action Expand by One Pixel. I'm going to have it in my demo folder, and I'm going to choose any of these function keys with shift. So let's go ahead and choose function 1. So for this point forward, whenever I hit shift function 1, it'll run this action for me. And so that really speeds things up when you're doing something repetitively over and over. The color is if you use button mode in your action palette. It's kind of an alternate mode, and I'll leave that for you to give it a little research and see if that's for you. One thing to note about function keys is the default setup for the function keys on a Macintosh is to actually have some system settings like screen brightness and play and pause and forward and sound. And to use your function keys on a Mac in that default situation, you have to hold down that FN button on your keyboard when you hit a function key. Now, if you're using function keys more than those system keys, you can go into system preferences and turn that off so that the function keys are the primary and the system keys are the extra key shift. So let's go ahead and start recording our action. I've already got that selection, but it's not perfect, so I want to expand it by one. To do that, I'm going to go to the Select menu, Modify, Expand, and then dial in. I'm going to hit the 1 key, and then hit OK. And you may notice, let's zoom in, that that selection line moved into the black, which is perfect. So in this case, my action really is only a complicated menu function. But you can do all kinds of functions, and you can stack them, you can reorder them. There's many, many, many things that you can record using an action. In this case, all I need to do is come and hit the stop button, and I've got my action. Here's my title, and I've just got one function in it, expand by 1 pixel. But you can keep on working, recording those functions. I've got a lot of other actions that are many, many, many steps that all take place in the course of half a second when I hit the function key. So it's really handy to use. Let's zoom back out and drop my selection. In this case, let's choose this upper torso area. I'm going to hit magic wand and shift a few times to get that whole area. And then to hit expand by 1, I can either come over here and hit the play key, and there it ran and expanded my selection, or I can do shift F1 and it did it again. So it's a pretty handy thing to have, and I encourage you to look into creating actions whenever you're finding yourself doing the same thing over and over and over again and wishing there was a better way. That's your clue to see if you can record what you're doing for later playback. I hope that helps, and I hope you keep on making great art.